Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Hi.
Let me see. Just give me 1 second while I get us all set. Okay, thanks for everybody for joining me. I guess we'll go ahead and get started, and as people come in and join, they can. Would everybody do me a favor and just make sure to write their name in the chat box so we have a list of everyone who's attended, please. And as we do that, I'm going to go ahead and get started and make sure to share my screen so everybody can see. Let's see, here we go. And so I hope everybody had a nice Christmas. I know we're all coming back and getting back into, some of us are, actually it's pretty quiet around here. So everybody's taking some time off for the New Year's also. So it's pretty quiet. Hopefully it'll get busier when everybody comes back in January. But let me get my screen shared so everybody can see it. And presentation mode. There we go. So it won't be too long of a meeting. I just wanted to be able to jump in and catch up with everybody. I know things have been a little different with what's going on, and then of course like with the holidays. So we just wanted to do a final little catch up with everyone before the new year to see how everything's going. So just a quick little agenda. Just wanted to do a recap. I know we've got some more COVID recovery efforts that are happening. So we'll review kind of what we've recently heard, and things aren't finalized, but we'll see if there's anything else going in and on around the area. We were going to do a quick little presentation on aging in place, especially with COVID. It's important to remember that we have different community members of all ages, and they all have different needs. So it's just kind of a little reminder of making sure that we keep this group of our community members in mind and make sure that we're adjusting to their needs to be able to retain them as our communities continue to grow and as they age. So we'll do an interactive poll. We're trying to get a little more technology friendly, so maybe in the future we'll have some more interactive things. But I did want to do some polling for you guys that were able to attend today, just to see. It's just an anonymous little poll because we just want to see what maybe y'all want to talk about in the future. If there's certain topics or subjects that really interest everybody, we want to make sure that we're able to do some research and report back to you guys on those. So we make sure we know what your needs are, what our community needs are, and we're meeting those needs. So it'll just be a quick little poll and then discussion if anybody has anything to share at the end, and then we'll adjourn. So if there's no questions, I'm going to get started and just review some of our recent updates that we've received. And so a lot of this information, we've been sending out newsletters recently. So Cynthia, who's sitting right here, I know it looks like I'm not looking at anybody, but she's here. We've been working on putting together a little economic development newsletter. We're trying to do it once a month, usually mid-month, depending on how the holidays fall. But we want to make sure we're keeping everybody up to date and engaged, and at least on the information that is provided to us. We want to be able to share with you guys. And we do want you guys to share with us. So there's always a little spot in the newsletter. If you want to reach out to us, if there's anything you want to share, we'll be happy to put it into next month's newsletter. So this is a good opportunity if you have anything going on in your communities, even events or activities that you want us to share that other community members nearby can come and support. Just let us know and we'll be happy to add it to that. So to get started on some of the recent COVID recovery efforts that we've been made aware of, and again, we can send out additional information on this. If y'all have any questions or want any links, just add it in the chat box and we'll make sure to send it out later to you guys. But recently, Texas Workforce Commission actually approved an initiative to try to help some of the restaurants respond to COVID right now. And so what they're doing is they're releasing a series of videos that should have stuff with related to best practices, adapting jobs, contactless operations, and then ways that they can adjust their business themselves to accommodate some of the rules and regulations that are set in place right now. So, you know, how best to do online ordering, curbside pickup, delivery, e-commerce platforms, things like that, that will help the restaurants currently, but will also help them grow and continue to stay relevant in the future. And so these are all free videos. And in addition to that, they actually set aside around $500,000 to pay for course instruction and testing for food handler permits and TABC certifications. So as far as I'm aware, typically those cost. And so the purpose of this is to be able to cover the training that those restaurants would typically have to pay. So that's a benefit as well, to be able to get those food handler permits and those TABC certifications for free using some of that funding. And so we can send out more information on that, but I think that's a good thing to share with your local restaurants as well, ways that they can take advantage of some of those free resources. So we've all heard about the Congress COVID relief. We just don't know exactly what's been settled on yet, but I guess the last, well, when I put this together, the most recent that we had heard was the $900 billion relief package. And so, you know, they had stated the $600 stimulus checks, not sure where we are with those, the unemployment benefits, but I think more importantly, from our positions looking at economic development, we were looking at the eviction moratoriums, which I'll talk about in a second, and then the Paycheck Protection Plan. And so I've checked the SBA website a few more times since, you know, just trying to keep up with it to see if they've posted any information about it, like upcoming or any. They do not have anything yet, but hopefully soon we'll get some additional information. But they do plan on creating a second loan for the Paycheck Protection Program. So that is something that they had originally. It was done through the SBA. I heard a lot of our local businesses used it. That was the one they did not have to pay back. And so they're going to do a second one on that, again, for our small, hard-hit businesses. Some other regulations in order to be able to be eligible and to apply, of course, is that they cannot have more than 300 employees. That is for our smaller businesses. They've already used or will use their full amount of the first PPP. And then again, that 25% in reduction. So I think that's something that's pretty easily obtainable, unfortunately, for a lot of our businesses. So that is out there to get. And so as soon as we do get more information, we do have an SBA that serves our area, our region, if you will, nearby. So we'll continue to push that information out as it comes. But that's good that there's some additional funding out there for our businesses. Regional initiatives. I'm not sure as much what's going around with our regional efforts. I do know that in Brazos County, our two cities, Bryan and College Station, did receive additional CDBG funding for their small businesses. I don't know if that is the case for some of our other counties. So if it is, comment in there and we'll be happy to share that with the people we know. But I know that the other two cities are working to get that money out to their small businesses. And then the housing. So previously, there was a moratorium on evictions for those who rent through December 31st. It's important to know that that has been extended. So tenants cannot be evicted for the non-payment of rent. And that was extended to January 31st. So there's additional time for some of the community members that have not been able to pay rent due to COVID. So those are just some recovery effort updates and some things that are going on. But if there's any additional information that your community is working on, or if some of the cities in your area have funding, let us know, and we'll be happy to share that information with our contacts. Okay, if there's no questions or anything, I'll just jump into our short little presentation. So I get our local planning magazines, not local, I guess, it's the American Planning Association, but they always have a lot of good, helpful topics and short stories and things like that. And so I guess thinking about the impact COVID has had significantly on our seniors, and they did this little article. I thought it's kind of important to share because it's something we don't necessarily think about from an economic development perspective, because a lot of our focus is on the working class and is on our families. But I think it's also important to remember that our seniors are very important, and people need the opportunity to be able to age in place. They've invested in our communities, and we want them to stay and continue to invest because they do have a lot to give. And it's just making sure that our communities accommodate some of their changing needs. So it's just a little bit of information and things that we can think about as we continue with our jobs and as we help guide our communities with how they continue to grow and develop. So this is just some information on our regional population. So I read this article from the American Planning Association, was intrigued at kind of where we stand. What does our population look like here? And so if you look at the graph on the right, you can see that, and I did not choose it. It was one of the census calculators defined aging as 50 plus. We know that's debatable, but that's just the number that we drew the line at because that's what the census chose. So that's what we used. But as you can see that the 2010 populations shows about 84,000, and those are our 50 plus. And then it's predicted that in 2020, and that's for this entire region, so our 7 counties, will be about 109,000. So that's a significant increase. And so when I looked a little further in the data, it showed that from 2010 to 2020, it was about a 25,000 person change of those in our communities that would age into the 50 plus and within those 10 years. But then taking it and forecasting out from just 2020 to 2025. So we're going from 10 years down to 5 years. So that's a shorter amount of time. It showed that our aging population would be, of those 50 plus would be around 30,000 would increase. So it's increasing more and more. And so I think it's just something, we need to be aware of. And so looking at the heat map we used to show kind of where our aging community members were. The dark red is where the most dense of our 50 plus year olds are located, and the lighter ones are less dense of the 50 plus. So Leon County, I think, is definitely one of the counties that needs to be considering aging in place, as well as Grimes, Brazos, and Washington counties. All of these counties do have a significant 50 plus population. So these are our community members that have been here, and we want to keep them, and we want to make sure we know where our residents are, we know what our demographics are in our areas, and we adjust to that. So just outline some helpful tips of ways that we can make sure that we incorporate and accommodate our aging population. So thinking about outdoor spaces and buildings, we do that all the time. Economic development, it's all about placemaking. It's all about what these communities have to offer, and that's how we bring people into our communities. But I think it's also important for social aspects, as well as to when you stay. It's good for your families, but it's also good for our aging population. People need places indoors and outdoors to gather. So that's something we do in our everyday life that benefits all ages. Transportation. As you know, here at the COG, Cynthia and I do economic development, but we also do transportation. And so transportation is extremely important for your aging community members. Driving is not always an option. It's not going to be an option forever. So it's making sure that we have a range of transit options other than singular car transportation. So buses, light rail, trains, not a whole lot of options, but buses is something that we can focus on. But I think safe sidewalks. I think we have a lot of great downtown areas from an economic development perspective. We have this infrastructure, we have this history, we have this character. We need to make sure we can provide safe, accessible routes to access our businesses downtown. So not only does it benefit the economy, but it's also going to benefit our aging population, making sure these streets are safe and crossable. Housing is something we also think about, and it can go both ways. So you want to make sure that there's homes available for your families, for your employees, but you also want to make sure that your community members, when they are empty nesters and they no longer want to take care of big houses and big yards, we want to make sure that our communities have homes that are available. So either that they can modify the homes that they're living in currently, or that we make sure that we encourage development of homes that are age appropriate. So like garden homes, something smaller, more manageable, and good safe locations, good proximity to things that they need to access. So that's something that we can think about as well. Social participation. So I think that's just a given for everybody. I think people want to stay in communities that they're involved in and that they know people and they're engaged and they have a good time. So we want to make sure that our communities themselves are encouraging our aging population to be engaged, because they actually do. These community members have a lot to offer. They've been in this community, a lot of them, for a really long time. They've raised families, and I think it's important to make sure that they still have an outlet of which to share their skills, their opinions, and ways that they can help change the community to be a better place in ways that we might not think. So we need to make sure to listen to all of our community members. And as we've seen in recent months, health services is very important. So it's making sure that we're able to accommodate the healthcare needs of all of our community members. And so we want to make sure that the healthcare opportunities are accessible and affordable to our residents. So, these are some things, big picture items, of course. It can't be done in a day, but, we take little steps every day to planning the future of all of our communities. And so with economic development, we do focus a lot on those with jobs, and that's our big things, or those transitioning out of high school and education and workforce training and things of that nature. But I think also we need to think about our aging population, because these are our empty nesters, and these are people with some extra money on hand that may be retiring soon, but they don't have children. And these are people that we want to keep in our communities, because they're going to continue to stay and invest. And so these are some big picture ways that we can make sure we're guiding our planning and our day-to-day steps towards fostering a community and environment that's supportive of what their current needs are. And so just next steps. So these are some easy ways. Again, so increased communication, super easy. It's almost free nowadays with social media. We need to make sure what we're communicating, which I forget sometimes too, is easily accessible to all of our community members. So at the COG, a lot of our stuff is done on paper or email, and so we have started doing social media because that wasn't as active, and we realized, hey, we want to reach a broader scope of our community members, both young and older. So we're trying to find ways to reach out. So we have our professional groups that we email, but we are also like, let's update, Facebook. Let's try to be a little more active. So we're slowly getting there, but it's something we need to keep in mind is how are we reaching our community members? Because if we can reach, the more people we reach, the better off we'll be, because we get feedback from all different aspects of life and all different people. The second is just creating volunteer opportunities. Again, another easy way to utilize the community members, giving them a way to give back. A lot of those who have aging, they might have retired, but they still have a lot of great skills that we can take advantage of. So free volunteering opportunities is a great way to benefit on our side, but also for them to benefit of being more engaged in their community, and that fosters that good environment between your community, your cities, and giving back. So again, easy way to do that. And then of course, future planning. So that's really important. And so that's a much harder to do and much more lengthy process. But if you have everybody involved in communication, if you have volunteer opportunities, then future planning efforts are going to be a little easier because you know who your community members are and what they're looking for in their community. And you've given them an outlet to share that. So just some things to think about. I know we get busy, I know we go down different tracks, but it's important to think about all of our community members and how they shape what we do every day. And so we need to remember who we have and that we're planning and we're growing our communities for them, because that's also our job, is to make sure that we're listening to everybody. So that was just something that we wanted to share with you guys, and we're happy to delve into that further if anybody has any questions. But we thought it would be helpful for the coming year is we could just get some feedback from everybody, and we'll probably send this poll out or something similar via email after this, just to try to get as much feedback as possible. But we want to make sure that we're on the right track and that we're doing research on things that you guys want to hear about, and that what we're finding is relevant and helpful. So I figured I would try a little poll to see how that works. So I guess I'll try to stop the screen sharing, and then I'm going to flip over to the poll first. So let's see, so share, here we go. And then, where did it go? Post. Okay, so I'm going to launch the poll. There we go. And so what we've done is we've outlined a few different topics. There's 3 topics, main ones. And then there's subtopics in each. So what we're looking for is just some general feedback on what kind of topics that you'd like to have us do some more research on. And you can vote for as many as you like. So if there's multiple ones that you prefer, just vote for them all. And
Would you like me to fill it out as well?
It's fine. Go ahead. You can. So, and I'll give everybody a minute for that.
Madison, when I finished, I hit close. Was that the wrong thing to do?
I think that was fine. I'm not sure. Because what I'll do is I'll end the poll.
Disappeared, but you.
But okay, that's good. I'm still here, so that's fine. What I'll do is I'll end it after a second, and then I'll see if I can share the results so everybody can see what we've voted on. So let's see. Looks like we have some votes. So I will end poll. And I will share. There we go. Can everybody see it? This is going to be a fun first one on question 1. So it looks like we have a very diverse range on our community development. So that's exciting. I mean, we enjoy all of it, so there's no right or wrong answer, luckily. But we're just going to use this to kind of help guide what conversations that we're going to be having in the future. Because I know we've got such a diverse range of people that we reach out to. It's really difficult for us to kind of pinpoint where everybody is and what everybody's needs are. So we'll do this. I think this was really helpful. So it looks like business retention expansion is the big one, a little bit of everything on community development, and then placemaking and planning, which is good because we're very well versed in those two fields. Perfect. Was there anything that wasn't on here that anybody wanted to see? And y'all are more than welcome also to type it in the group chat. And so we can always add that to the survey that we send out to everybody. We'll probably add a fill-in option as well for the other survey that we send out, just in case. I know I kind of put everybody on the spot, so if it comes to you later, share it via email, share it via group chat, whatever is easiest. But we do want to give you guys an opportunity to request some topics if there's things that you prefer. Let's see. There we go. Put that survey away. Okay, and so Judge Joe Fouth wants to learn more about grants. So yes, we've got hopefully a lot of money coming in next year, and so we'll do our best. I think early on might be a good thing to start talking about some of our grants, especially the CDBG grants that we have. I know they've revitalized or revamped some of their programs. I think was that May 1st, some of the CDBG? Okay. April, May, into April, I guess early May, but we'll continue to do some research on that because that is important. So going over grant opportunities that are there, they of course all have different due dates. They all have different processes. They all have different paperwork. But what we're here for is to help focus on the ones that are the most common and then identifying how best for everybody to go about tackling those projects. And then setting themselves up to be able to know what grants they want to request in the future as well. We can do that. We are good at deadline reminders. That's what we're trying to do in our newsletter too. Always remember, and so you can let me know later on if this is helpful or not. So we've done the newsletter twice, and what we've tried to do is to put the grants down. Well, the first one had all of the grants listed out and the due dates. And so Cynthia and I kept those at the bottom because we don't want to take them off. We want to keep hounding. So maybe what we can do is making sure that we can highlight the big grants. And again, we need to know from you guys what potential projects that you have upcoming, so then we can really hound everybody about those grants that apply. And to keep that in the back of your mind. And remember, like whenever you come across any grants, or if you have a project, maybe capital improvement project, or you've got something up and coming that you want funded, you can always reach out to us and we can see, if there's anything available at that time. But that's what we're trying to do in the newsletter, is make sure whatever grants we come across, we keep in the bottom of the newsletter until those grants application is the date is over. Perfect. Okay. Oh, good. Thank you, Erin. I'm glad you liked the newsletter. Oh, good. Well, we will continue with the newsletter. So we have a couple, I'm just glad people are reading it. So that was our goal, to have a few readers. But always, if you want to just send us an email, if there's information that you want more of, or if you have something going on in your community, we really want to share it because, when you're having your little downtowns, your little sip and strolls, your little sip and shops, let us know. We'll put it in the newsletter. And then what happens is y'all are able to then share with your contacts and your chambers of commerce. And so we just want to get that information out so we can have as many people in our region kind of, spread out and share the wealth, if you will, because there's no reason to compete if we can borrow each other's community members occasionally to come and shop and spend some money. So we will continue with the newsletter then. And did y'all have anything that's going on, I guess, within your communities that you'd like to share that's up and coming, and we're happy to put it in the next newsletter, or if we send out an email, we can add it to the email. You're more than welcome to share now or to type in if you'd like.
Not a fun topic,
Mhm.
but on the evictions,
Yes.
I need clarity. I believe that only applies to HUD housing, government funded. So if it's just between a homeowner and a renter, the eviction extensions do not apply, I believe.
I am not well versed in that, but what I can do is I can reach out to our workforce representative and have her clarify, and I will send you an email. And if the group wants to hear it, we can just send it to the group, or I can send it to you directly so we can make sure we get some clarification on that. So we can do that. Would you make sure you read it? Okay, thanks. I think if there's nothing else going on, we have oh, Royce, I think you're muted. Oh. Royce, are you talking to us? Oh, are you muted?
I'm sorry. There we go. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was looking up a date to be sure I was right, but the Bryan College Station Economic Outlook Conference is normally held in January. That's somewhat of a regional deal, has been moved to February the 24th.
Okay.
And I think they are planning in-person and virtual options.
Great. Awesome. We will put that actually on our next newsletter too, so we can make sure whoever from the region would like to join can jump in and join. That's always a great conference. Thank you. We have, do you want to share the resiliency, or? I put Cynthia on the spot. Oh, it's fine, I'll share. So the Raz Valley COG has their economic resiliency workshop. We had this, was it 2 years? 2 years, it was when I first started in July. So I think that's a year, not this past July, but the one before that. But we are having it again on January 28th and 29th. Very excited about that. We have a lot of good people coming in. So we're going to have it kind of similar from how we did it last year, but we're going to have a more diverse group of people. So we want it for to be able to focus on emergency management, which I think it was more catered to last year. But this year we're really adding some good talks on economic resiliency. And of course, the grants and things that are out there will have those groups and their representatives come and speak again like they did last year to share about their funding. So you can ask them questions directly. So we're excited about that. 28th, 29th, and it is free. It's going to be, do you know if it's in-house or, I know it's virtual.
It is,
will we have an in-house option? I think we're kind of, I can't, we bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
I know we'll have an all virtual option. I'm not sure if they're gonna open it up to some if they like to come and sit in-house or not, of course. But it's definitely 100% virtual. So I encourage everyone to join, and we'll make sure that goes out, and we'll continue to push that information out. So, if anybody has any questions or anything else that they would like to share. No? Okay, well, let me know if you guys need anything. Feel free to reach out. I will do some research on the evictions and get back. But thank you all for joining. I know it's a very odd in-between time, but thank you all. Hope everyone has a happy new year. So thank you guys. See you on January.
Thanks, Madison.
Thanks.
Thank you, Madison. Appreciate you doing this. Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.